Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, all subscribers, viewers, and supporters of this channel. This video, we are going to talk about the environmental management system of the electrostatic precipitator. As many of you would know, that the ESP in short is a kind of air pollution control equipment. In particular, it is designed for the trap or collection of filtration. Not really filtration, it's a trap. It's a collector using electrostatic charges of dust. And this equipment is very good for fine dust. Right. Now, the environmental management system based on ISO 14001 version 2 2015 is about managing environmental aspects. Therefore, we are going to look at the environmental aspects for the operations of electrostatic precipitator. We will identify most common environmental aspects from this particular air pollution control equipment and then we will discuss about managing this equipment within the environmental management system. But what is the environmental management system? Before we go on, I would like to implore all my fellow Muslim colleagues all over the world, please do not watch this video if you are already in a mosque for the Friday prayers, khutbah, or attending any religious lessons and sessions. Thank you very much. I love you for that. I wish all of you be blessed with Jannatul Na'im. Amin. So, we've got to take a look. Before we manage electrostatic precipitator in our environmental management system, we must know what is environmental management system. In view of the definition by ISO Geneva through ISO 14001 version 2015 states that it manages environmental aspects. How? By fulfilling compliance obligation and addressing risk and opportunities. Managing what? Environmental aspect. But what is an environmental aspect? Well, from the definition itself, it is elements of our organizational activities, processes, products, and services that interacts and can interact with the environment. The word is interact and can interact. Those are environmental aspects. Well, from my experience over 36 years, environmental aspects is anything, thing, substance, matter, tools, gadgets, equipment, liquid, gas, or what? Solid. Input, output of what? Raw material, intermediate products, waste products, machines, building, you name it. Anything that interacts or can interact with the environment, they are environmental aspects. Process names, they are not environmental aspects. Okay, process name. It is an element of our organization. It is an element of our activity where environmental aspects are involved in those processes. And those processes involves raw materials, catalysts, intermediates, and products. And those processes involve machines, mechanism that create those processes, that move those processes. So those equipments in the processes, they are environmental aspects. So when you do your aspect impact register, please do not use words representing process names as your environmental aspects. You're going to go wrong for that. All right, in this video, I'm going to show you immediately after this the entire step summarized, of course, for you, steps in the implementation of Environmental Management System ISO 14001 version 2015. And most importantly, I'm going to show you when do we identify environmental aspects? What methodology, what method do we use? Here you are. Here is the method. This is called the input and output analysis. This is the method derived from mechanical engineering's mass balances. We are not going to do mass balance. I'm not good at it. Okay, but we will use the philosophy or the principle of mass balance literally for the identification, for the input-output analysis in the identification of environmental aspects. That's what we're going to do. I will show you where this process is situated. Then I will bring you into the input-output analysis of this particular process or equipment. Electrostatic Precipitator is a dust collection system. Then I will bring you to the dashboard. I call it dashboard, but it is actually aspects impact register. Okay, now let's take a look at the chronology. Here you are. This is a summarized steps, I would say a holistic picture. If one wants to establish environmental management system. In the context of organization, normally what I do is I would get managerial representatives and administration people to do it for us because these are all mostly admin. But answering your question, where is input-output analysis? It is here. Environmental aspects. This is the stage that we have to identify all our environmental aspects. How we identify input, output analysis. Of what? All processes, where all departments, all sectors of our activities, processes, services, and even products within the scope of our ISO 14001 certification. Once that is done, the input-output analysis is done. We have a table for it. What do? We got to evaluate. Evaluate for what? How significant, okay? How significant are their respective environmental impact? Remember, these environmental aspects interact with the environment and causes environmental impact. So we need to evaluate their respective environmental impact. How severe, how much magnitude, how frequency, how long is the impact? So these are all involving evaluation criteria. I will show you in the dashboard in simplistic term, and then we are able, after doing the evaluation, we are able to identify which of our environmental aspects are more significant than the others. Therefore, we understand, at least for our company, what we are dealing with. And by virtue of complying to this new 2015 standard, we would include this risk and opportunity for each environmental aspect that we have identified, and then we sum them, assemble them here in our environmental aspects impact register. All right, at this point, once we have before us a summarized tabulation of all our activities, all our processes, all our environmental aspects, and all their respective environmental impact, then our company now knows their position as far as the environmental responsibility is, their position in the environmental management system. In other words, they know what type, what kind, how severe, how important are the environmental aspects that they got to manage in the company. Know this first. Only then the company will formulate environmental policy. Do not make environmental policy statement first before you have the aspects impact register. It can be misleading from experience. From the environmental aspects impact register, we now formulate with the involvement, consent, and agreement of top management, their representative, or better known as EMR, the steering committee, to do what? To set environmental objectives for the company, for their environmental management system tailored to the operation. Set the objectives, set the targets. If you already have 14001 certification, do not change this word. It is still valid. Environmental objectives, environmental targets are still valid. And once the target has been devised or developed, then we have to look for into who do what, when and how much resources, equipments, investment is needed. This is called planning action to achieve. You already have environmental management program. Do not change the word. It is still valid. It is planning action to achieve is a philosophy, a very important philosophy, a holistic word to represent that companies must really be committed to achieve what we have set as our objectives and targets. And we have got to adhere to or comply to our own environmental management program. That is why the word is changed. The term is changed to planning actions to achieve. It's a philosophy. It's a principle for ISO 14001 version 2015, but that doesn't mean we have to change the term environmental objectives, targets, and EMP. That's still valid, okay? And after having that, then all this would amount to what the new standard defined as intended outcome. So, environmental policy is our intended outcome. Well, philosophically, objective and target represents intended outcome. Environmental management program represents intended outcome, but that is not enough for the new standard. In this new standard, take a look. We have to have in our objectives and target and even environmental management program something that would conjure to, that would amount to the enhancements of our environmental performance. Serious, okay? And the intended outcome also stipulate that we really have to fulfill our compliance obligation, fulfill. We got to be committed. The top management is accountable for this. And if we can't fulfill, we need to have rationale. We have got to do some form of root cause analysis, and that has got to be minuted in our documents and saved as our document control. Okay, those are administration. I wouldn't be discussing it here anyway. Those are techniques in environmental management system. And also look, this standard is serious, that whatever we state as our objective, target, and our environmental management program we got to achieve it. Therefore, in other words, when we devise, we develop, we formulate our environmental objectives, targets, and environmental management program, make sure we are able to close in and achieve it, not just plug and play. And it doesn't happen that way now, okay? Okay, I hope that you understand where is the input-output analysis. Again, it is over here. Take a look and how important this is. If this goes wrong, the entire subsequent chronology in the implementation of ISO 14001 will go haywire. So make sure the environmental aspects identification is accurate and representative. Let's go to the next slide and take a look at our electrostatic precipitator. Okay, I'm not the expert in the electrostatic precipitator. I learned from people like you when we were doing audits. I put an effort to learn during audits and during inspection and review audit or surveillance audit, etc., because we are not experts of everything, and as auditors, we got to be humble enough to learn from these hands-on experts. Now, please correct me if you are the experts in this equipment if I go wrong anyway. Thank you very much. Now, this is our attempt to do the input-output analysis. Why? Remember, we want to identify all our environmental aspects and their respective environmental impact. So upon discussion with the hands-on people, with the experts over there, we found out that what goes into this electrostatic precipitator are those environmental aspects listed over here, and what comes out of this electrostatic precipitator are those environmental aspects listed in the output. Nonetheless, these are only some samples that I'm able to present to you in this limited PowerPoint space. So let us discuss with what we have here. So let's take a look at the input aspect. Okay, so number one is let's discuss boiler ash. Now, when we talk about input aspect, we have to know that it comes into the electrostatic precipitator. That's done. Now, if we want to determine its respective environmental impacts, then since it is an input environmental aspect, we got to look at its life cycle. Where? Upstream. Got it? When we do that, it means we got to ask the question, where does this boiler ash come from? It comes from the boiler. Where does it come from in the boiler? It comes from the furnace that burns some material. That material generates the ash. What is it? Coal stone or pulverized coal. Okay. Now, where does coal stones come from? Shipment from overseas. Fine. That's done. Easy. Where does it come from eventually? So we found out that coal stones are coming from mining activities. Mining of coal stones involving a geological structure where all these fossil fuels are embedded. And in the mining of coal stones, I think some of you are well aware that it is actually in some countries involves surface dredging, surface excavation of coal stones, rock. It could be anthracite, it could be subbituminous, depending on how lucky you are when you found this geological revenue. Okay, now in some areas of the world, you have got to what you call get down underground using shaft to dig coal, because coal are embedded underneath some layers of the rock structure. So it involves mining. And in mining, as you know, it involves the incapacitation, if I could say that, of rock structure, of geological structure of the earth. The rock structure of the earth has been compromised by mining, but in our case, as an environmentalist or ecologist, we would say that the resources are being excavated time over time, and therefore literally the inventory of the natural resources gets less, and the environmental impact, as you know, is popularly known as resource depletion. Therefore, the more demand for coal stones in the boiler operation of coal-fired power plant, for example, more coal stones is being dredged out or excavated out. And as an ecologist, I would say that another environmental impact associated to this is actually damaged geological structure. So that is the interaction of boiler ash upstream. Eventually, the environmental impact is resource depletion. Can we control? No, absolutely. Can we influence? Maybe, or I would say yes, by having a good selection of coal stones, perhaps having more bituminous or subbituminous rather than anthracites, or mixture of anthracites and subbituminous, then you have more ashes unburnt. Okay, so that would be waste. All right, that is one area of the input-output analysis. Now, that is one environmental aspect. Now, what comes out of the ESP is here, ESP ash. Now, the question is, how does the ESP ash interact with the environment and subsequently cause what type of environmental impact? So, here we go. The formula is, since it is an output environmental aspect, if I can say formula, it's not formula, it's just rule of thumb, then we got to look at its life cycle perspective. Which direction? Downstream. There you are. Meaning, what happened to the ESP ash? It would then, in this case, would channel out through a drain. Along with the drain, it is flowing into what we know as the ash pond. It is collected in the ash pond until the ashes is so moist and increase in density and becomes sludge, and that sludge is excavated and and I believe it is sent to some kind of sanitary landfill. If not a secure landfill, it is also classified as scheduled waste due to some content of heavy metal. Things like mercury is present in coal. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw that report. Mercury and arsenic, if I'm not mistaken, is present in coal. So eventually these ash pond would lead to some kind of discharge. It is retained for a while so that cleaner water escapes out or overflow out from the ash pond and enters the nearby river, and thus that we would say would cause water pollution. So that is the interaction, one interaction of the ash going to the ash pond and causes water pollution. On top of that, it becomes sludge perhaps, and it gets down to the soil below the pond structure, and I believe that is causing some form of soil pollution. as an environmental impact. Now, you can have more than one environmental impacts depending on which you could control or influence, as according to, as you could see over here, guidance 612, paragraph 3. Life cycle stages that we can control or influence. Those that we cannot control and cannot influence, maybe we stop before it. But if you know you are interested to do it, no problem. You can carry on. So these are all the other what you call environmental aspects identified. Electrodes, as you can see here, as an input, electrostatic collection plates, electrical energy, a lot of it is being used higher voltage. So output, for example, is damaged electrode, and here you have got corroded collection plates, because in the ESP you've got dust collection plates, but these plates are made of metal, and it is usually sent collected by scrap, in fact sold to scrap metal dealers for a good market price, and it is being recycled. I would call that resource conservation. Why not? Unless the authority classified that as some scheduled hazardous waste, then I'm so sorry if that happened. Then that would only have to go to secure landfill or incineration, which is for me is too bad. Okay, that's about it for input output analysis. Excuse me. Please add in more, and do not hesitate to participate in commenting in the comment column below. Now, the next one, as I promised, let's take a look at the dashboard. So this is the dashboard that I've been talking about. So once we have identified all our environmental aspects from the input-output analysis, we will tabulate them. We will list them down accordingly, and for me, I'm using this tabulation for our easier reference, and that is why we call it dashboard. But this version is complying to the new version 2015 ISO 14001. Why? I will show you. Now we have here the first column, activity, environmental aspect. All the environmental aspects, as you could see below, is listed based on each activity or process, and their respective environmental impact is actually listed down there as well. Now, what we have here is environmental aspect impact evaluation. Look, these are all criteria of evaluation: magnitude, severity, legal, business, etc. You can have any criteria that you want, but for me, not only ecology, not only environment, but I would include business, what you call impetus, a business effect of how the environmental management system would be sustainable for businesses. I would have it there as well, and you can have any other things over here. And well, frequency, duration, etc. I'm not going to discuss this here in this video. And eventually we have got the score here, whereby the highest score represents most significant environmental aspect. Importantly, in view of compliance to the 2015 ISO 14001, we have incorporated a risk and opportunity in the dashboard itself. You can read it, all right? You can have something better than this. You got to think about it. Consult your consultants, your trainers, and discuss about this. They may have their own aspects, impact registered as it is, and could even be better than this. Follow the advice of your consultants, okay, and trainers. On top of that, I have here environmental performance, complying 2015 standards, and this is management performance index. This is operations performance environmental conditions index, all there in your dashboard. Your top management sees this, he or she would understand their position, because they are accountable, their position or the company's position in environmental due diligence. It's deeds, not words, this time. ISO 14001 version 2015. Okay, and once we know where we are, after having all this, only then we formulate. Remember the chronology? We formulate our environmental policy, then objectives, targets, and environmental management program. And it's already complying. Got it? So this is the best I could do to share with you. I hope you are able to understand. You can pause this video and take a look at this and, take a snapshot or copy. I don't reserve any copyright. I don't deserve any credit. It's all to my gurus, actually. Well, I think I've said enough, and we have identified all the environmental, well, not all, several environmental aspects from this particular activity, and we know what we've got to do from here on. Okay. Thank you very much, YouTube subscribers, viewers, and supporters of this channel, and especially academicians and students. Thank you very much. I wish you all luck in your work. All the best. And as a Malay, I wish you semoga dikurniakan kesenangan, keselamatan, kesejahteraan, kebahagiaan, dan kejayaan kehidupan di dunia dan di akhirat. And as a Muslim, I wish everybody, whoever you are, wherever you are in the planet, until we meet in the next video, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.